What's up, everybody? Your favorite inconsistent YouTuber, late on the new Duel Links leaks, back at it again, talking about the new main box that just got leaked. And so far, from what I'm seeing on my screen right now, which you guys can't see until I, do this right here, we're gonna be taking a look at this new box that is seemed to be adding Gimmick Puppets. It's gonna be adding some vampire support, some just Inzektor. We got Grand Neos in here. Like, we got all sorts of crazy stuff to talk about in today's Duel Links video. So we're gonna take a look at all of the UR and SR cards in today's video. If you guys are excited to hear my opinion on all these new cards, be sure to smash the like button on the video down below and make sure to sub to the YouTube channel so you guys don't miss out on my inconsistent uploads, since I barely upload on this channel nowadays. I want to change that, but it's happening. Anyways, though, boys, thank you so much for watching this video. For all of you guys that may have already heard the news from other channels, but without further ado, let's just go hop into today's Duel Links review, taking a look at all the new stuff. I'm excited. Let's get into it. And before we get into today's video, I just want to give it a quick shout out to Your Playmat for sending me these beautiful Misty sleeves. They haven't paid me whatsoever, but they sent me these really cool Misty sleeves, so the least I can do is shout them out real quick. If you want to take a look in the description down below and check out Your Playmat, there's a little promo code that they told me to tell you guys that you guys can get 10% off of your stuff, and it will actually help me for any of you guys that do decide to purchase some cool playmats, custom playmats, and custom sleeves like these beautiful Misty sleeves. So give it a look in the description down below. Thanks, and now enjoy the video. First card we're gonna take a look at, which is going to be most likely one of the cover art cards for this upcoming box, is going to be number 15 Gimmick Puppet Giant Grinder, with Quattro becoming unlockable very soon in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. It's really nice to see that this new box got leaked, and the fact that Gimmick Puppets are going to potentially be a playable deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links once Quattro comes available in Duel Links. Now, personally for me, I've never seen what Gimmick Puppets do, because Zexal was one of the animes that I really didn't watch that much. I tried to watch it, but I never could really get into it. It has its moments. I've seen some really cool moments for the show on YouTube, but it was never a show that I fully deep dived into. So a lot of the archetypes from Zexal I'm pretty unfamiliar with, but so this will be kind of my first time looking at Gimmick Puppets. But let's go take a look at this rank 8 level, or rank 8 monster that takes 2 level 8 monsters. So you can combo this with Blue Eyes if you really wanted to, so that's kind of cool. This card states up to twice per turn during your main phase 1, you can detach one Xyz material from this card, then target one special summon monster your opponent controls to destroy it, and if it was an Xyz monster, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its original attack. This card has 1500 attack and 2500 defense. So this card is not too bad. Depending on how well Gimmick Puppets can spam out level 8 monsters, it's going to be a nice addition to that deck, and you can combo this card with Blue Eyes White Dragon. Blue Eyes has been kind of off the meta, but having something like this could maybe make it a little more versatile, but I don't think this will make Blue Eyes like super good again like it was before. But still, fantastic generic rank 8 monster here. The only issue with it, I would have to say, is the fact that it is a target effect. If it didn't have to target to get rid of that special summon monster, that would be really nice. But still, if it's an Xyz monster, it can inflict damage to your opponent equal to its original attack. Most likely it'll get cut to half its attack once it gets added into Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, but still, fantastic card right here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this deck can do in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Next up, we have another UR Gimmick Puppet card called the Gimmick Puppet Terror Baby. This card is a level 4 Dark Machine Effect monster. When this card is normal summoned, you can target one Gimmick Puppet monster in your graveyard except Gimmick Puppet Terror Baby. Special summon it in defense position. You can banish this card from your graveyard. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to the activation of your Gimmick Puppet monster effects this turn. This card has 500 attack and 0 defense. So this card is cool for a couple reasons. One, you can special summon monsters from your graveyard, or Gimmick Puppet monsters from your graveyard, and go into some Xyz plays. So there's probably going to be some other cards that we'll take a look at in today's video that are going to be able to do some level manipulating to go into big rank 8 summons, like into the last card we talked about, which is really cool. And the fact that you can banish Terror Baby from the graveyard and make it to where your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response. The activation of Gimmick Puppet monsters this turn is really good too, because then you can go for some potential OTKs and just attack and defeat your opponent. And I think it is a you can banish this card from your graveyard. I don't know if you can use this during either player's turn, but you can for sure use this on your turn. So not a bad card. I understand why this card is a UR card. It's probably going to be a potential 3-up in the deck for sure. Stepping away from a Gimmick Puppets here, we're going to take a look at a level 9 Xyz monster, which let me double check and see if we have any other like good level 9 Xyz monsters in Duel Links. So yeah, as you can see right here, I did filter by Xyz and I put rank 9 here. So Dyson Spear is going to be one of our first rank 9 monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. So that's really cool right here. So this card is a rank 9. It takes 2 level 9 monsters to summon into this card. once per battle step during your opponent's turn. If this card with an Xyz material is attacked, you can negate the attack. This is a quick effect. When this card is targeted for an attack while it has no Xyz materials, you can target 2 monsters in your graveyard. Attach those targets to this card as Xyz materials. During your main phase, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card. This card can attack your opponent directly this turn. Your opponent must control a monster with a higher attack than this card for you to activate and resolve this effect. So, whoa, this card right here is actually really busted. And I'm trying to brainstorm decks that can even spam out level 9 monsters, because once you get this card on the board, this card's going to be a threat and a half to deal with. But the problem is, it's like, what deck is going to be utilizing level 9 monsters to spam them out easily for an optimal deck? So you guys will have to let me know in the comment section down below which decks would be able to do that, because yeah, this card is actually pretty busted. You can negate attacks like a Utopia type effect, and if your opponent has a bigger monster on their side of the field, well, if they try to attack over you, you can negate the attack, and then on a follow-up turn, you can try to attack your opponent directly, which is really cool. And then what's also insane too is the fact that you can recycle Xyz materials with this card too, so it's like its effect is endless, so that's also insane too. So this card, if you can get it out in the field, is going to be such a pain in the butt to deal with. I'm very curious to see how people are going to figure out how to counter this card if there's an optimal deck to do it. So that's a cool card right here. I like it. So it looks like Starliege Paladynamo. I don't know how to pronounce this card's name, but we're not going to do a full-on review simply for the fact that it's already in at Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. But hey, you guys, if you couldn't get it from the selection box, there you go. You guys can get it now. One card that's really exciting to see is Elemental Hero Grand Neos. Really weird to see random hero support in a Zexal themed box right here. But yeah, we have Grand Neos here, a level 7 Earth Warrior Fusion that takes Elemental Hero Neos and Grand Mole. You must first be special summoned from your extra deck by shuffling the above cards you control into the deck. You don't have to use polymerization. Once per turn, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls, return that target to the hand. During the end phase, shuffle this card into the extra deck. So this card's going to work really well with Neos Fusion for the fact that you can just use Neos Fusion on its own to go into Grand Neos. So alongside of having Brave Neos, you can also have Grand Neos to your disposal to have some versatility when it comes to playing Neos, which is really cool here. Because again, this is a once per turn bounce effect, and with Neos Fusion, you can keep Grand Neos on the board for at least 1 more turn, so you can like attack your opponent and still have him on the field during the next turn, which is really cool. Or if you play cards like Neos Fusion, you don't have to worry about that either. So this is going to be a really good buff for the Neos Fusion archetype, and I'm kind of excited to see what people are going to come up with Grand Neos being into the game. Again, it's probably going to be more of like a tech card in the Neos archetype, but it's still super cool to see Grand Neos being a card available in the game. Such a just 180 type of card that I was not expecting to get added into the game, so this is really exciting. Next up, we got some support for Inzektor. So I'm trying to remember, this is like one of the last Inzektor cards that we needed in a Duel Links for the archetype. Again, I'm still kind of unfamiliar with Inzektor. This was never a deck I really played a lot, but I could have sworn I've heard Dragonfly before. Anyways, though, this card is a dark level 3 insect effect monster where once per turn you can equip 1 Inzektor monster from your hand or graveyard to this card. If an equipped monster is sent to your graveyard while equipped to this card, except during the damage step, you can special summon 1 Inzektor monster from your deck except Inzektor Dragonfly. While this card is equipped to a monster, that monster's level is increased by 3. This card is 1000 attack and 1800 defense. So this card is going to be pretty cool here on paper for the fact that you're going to be able to special summon with it, because if you're going to be playing Inzektors here and swapping out your equipped cards here and there, depending on which Inzektors you have at your disposal and which cards that you have. If a equipped card is sent to your graveyard while it's equipped to Dragonfly here, you can special summon another Inzektor monster. And then while this card is equipped to a monster, that monster is increased by level 3. So yeah, you can special summon Inzektors with this guy to go for some cool like Xyz plays and whatnot. And you can increase the level of this card to 6 and go for some potential rank 6 plays here. So for any of you guys that like Inzektors, let me know in the comment section down below if you guys are going to try to go for this card, for the fact that like I would like to know how this deck would work. So just let me know in the comment section down below, because I'm unfamiliar with this card, but he has some cool effects going for him, that's for sure. So one other thing that's in this new box is the fact that we're getting some vampire support here. So we have Vampire Duke here, a level 5 Dracula looking dude. He is a zombie where this card states when it's normal summoned, you can target 1 dark vampire monster in your graveyard. Special summon that target in face-up defense position. When this card is special summoned, you can declare 1 card type monster spell and trap. Your opponent sends 1 card of that type from their deck to the graveyard. You can use this effect of Vampire Duke once per turn. This card cannot be used as an Xyz material for an Xyz summon except for a dark monster. So you can still use this for synchro summons if you wanted to, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, this card is not too bad whatsoever. So besides trying to get this card out, once you do get the card onto the board here, you can special summon vampire monsters from your graveyard, which is really cool. And again, the zombie archetype makes it super easy to get zombie monsters into the graveyard by using Samurai's Skull and Gazuki, so that's really cool too. And you're going to be able to use Gazuki to kind of like bounce and summon Vampire Duke from your hand anyways for free. So that's cool too. But yeah, you can, if it is normal summon with Vampire Duke, you can target a dark vampire, special summon it onto the field, and then potentially go for a dark Xyz monster if you wanted to go for that, which is cool. Also, with vampires, one of their iconic things that they like to do is mill the opponent's deck. So you can declare a card type monster, spell, or trap and make your opponent forced to get rid of a card like that into their graveyard. So if you know what deck you're kind of going against and whatnot, if you think it's a deck that has like a certain tech card that they rely on, you could just pitch it to the graveyard with this card's effect. Because vampires, when they were meta back in the day, people that were playing like TTH and whatnot all the time, vampires were like, yep, send TTH to the graveyard. Oh, your other copy of TTH is completely useless now and stuff like that. So it's really cool right here. And Vampire Duke is going to maybe make vampires a meta deck again. I don't know how I feel if vampires are meta again, because vampires was a deck I hated going against back in the day, but we'll have to see what happens when Duke becomes available in a Duel Links, so we'll have to wait and see. Next up, we're going to take a look at the UR card Smashing Ground. Destroy one face of monster opponent controls that has the highest defense, your choice if tied. So it's just a nice little non-targetable card that you can utilize to just pop a card for free, which is cool. And Smashing Ground is probably not going to see that much play because we have cards in the game like Hammer Shot and Fisher. And Fisher was a card that some people were kind of hyped for, myself included. But at the same time, Fisher was kind of a very situational card, and I think Smashing Ground is going to be in that same spot. Luckily, it is saying destroy the face-up monster that your opponent controls with the highest defense, so you're going to be able to use this card as non-targetable destruction for a pretty big boss monster compared to Fisher, where you had to do it with the lowest attack monster. But still, it's going to be a very situational card. I think it deserves the UR rarity, but I think it's kind of like just like a cheese card that depending on what deck you're playing, this might not be as good. It'll be good in like maybe 1 or 2 decks, but it's not going to be really good in every single deck. But still, it's going to be a very solid card to get. I wouldn't mind getting some copies of this card just to kind of, you know, bounce some of my opponent's monsters without having to target them. So that's cool. But yeah, decent card, but I think it's going to be a little situational depending on what deck you're going against. Another situational card is this UR card called a Jelly Cannon. When a monster declares an attack, you can target one monster on the field and shuffle it into the deck. So this is kind of like a baby version of Drowning Mirror Force, but you get to target the monster you want, which is kind of cool here. So a Jelly Cannon right here, if your opponent is like going to do a full out assault and you know, want to keep your monster on your side of the field, you can use Jelly Cannon to bounce that card back into the deck. So that's going to make it to where it's going to be harder for your opponent to draw into the cards that they want to. And in some cases, a lot of boss monsters and good monsters in the game going back to the deck is more detrimental than having them in the graveyard, because a lot of cards in Duel Links have effects while they're in the graveyard. So that's why Jelly Cannon is pretty decent here. But again, it falls into that trap to where this card is only triggerable during the battle phase, and I think cards that are still triggerable, like trap cards during the main phase, are going to outplay Jelly Cannon, like Paleozoic Canadia, Floodgate, TTH, and then all those quick play spell cards that are like used all the time are going to still be better than Jelly Cannon, simply for the fact that they can be played in the main phase. Jelly Cannon is just too slow even for Duel Links, for the fact that you can only trigger it during the battle phase. So it's kind of lame right there. I think it deserves the UR rarity, but it's one of those cards where it's like, I don't think it's going to see play. Next up, we're going to take a look at Gimmick Puppet Gigantes Doll, which is a rank 4 Xyz monster. It takes 2 level 4 Gimmick Puppet monsters, so you're probably going to want to use your boy, what's it called right here, Terror Baby, to summon into Doll here, so that's cool. This card states you can detach 2 Xyz material from the card that target 2 monsters your opponent controls to gain control of them until the end phase. Okay. Also, for the rest of your turn, you cannot special summon monsters except Gimmick Puppet monsters, nor declare an attack with Xyz monsters. Okay, you contribute this card. All monsters you currently control become level 8 until the end of this turn. You can use each effect of Gimmick Puppet Gigantes Doll once per turn. So that's how you're going to be able to easily summon into your boy Gimmick Puppet Giant Grinder. So yeah, Gigantes Doll is actually insane right here. Like I said, I never played Gimmick Puppets before, but yeah, this card is really spicy, and that makes sense on how Gimmick Puppets are going to be able to go into level 8 Xyz monsters or rank 8 Xyz monsters very easily. So yeah, use Doll and play its effect to steal 2 of your opponent's monsters, sack Doll off, make those 2 monsters level 8, and then go into the Xyz monster of Giant Grinders. So yeah, you use Terror Baby, go into Doll, and then go into Grinders. That's a little cool combo that this deck has going for it. So that's really spicy right there. I feel like that's gonna like turn some heads on the current meta in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, because some decks in Duel Links have capabilities to spam out a lot of monsters, and being able to take 2 of your opponent's monsters and use them for the material for a pretty decent boss monster here like Puppet Grinder, woo! That's going to be pretty good right there. That's going to be pretty good right there. I'm very curious to see how this deck is going to play once it's in Duel Links. Next up, we're going to take a look at Gimmick Puppet Dreary Doll. This is the level 8 machine effect monster, where this card states if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish one other Gimmick Puppet monster from your graveyard and special summon this card. You can use this card's effect once per turn, and it cannot be used as material for an Xyz summon except the Xyz summon of Gimmick Puppet monsters. So besides the fact of getting this card into the graveyard, this card is pretty cool right here, because it's going to be a way to cheese out into the like Puppet Grinder. I think that's what the card's called. Yeah, so giant grinder, so puppet giant grinder. So you can use Dreary doll to potentially cheese out into giant grinder right there. So that's cool. But yeah, so I'm gonna guess this is kind of like a combo extender card, and we'll have to take a look at the other Gimmick Puppet cards to see how well this card would play. Next Gimmick Puppet monster we're gonna take a look at is this level 8 dark one called Bisque doll. Probably butchered the card's name, but yeah, you can special summon this card from your hand by discarding one Gimmick Puppet monster. You can banish this card from your graveyard. Your opponent cannot target Gimmick Puppet monsters you control with card effects this turn. So, oh, I see here. So yeah, you use doll to pitch out. So yeah, use doll to pitch Dreary doll into the graveyard. And then if you have another Gimmick Puppet monster in your graveyard besides Dreary doll, then you can special summon Dreary doll into the field, and then you can go for a little rank 8 play. So that's cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool right here. Also, what's nice about this doll here that we're just talking about is the fact that you can make it to where Gimmick Puppet monsters you control cannot be targeted by card effects this turn. So that's another card. It's going to make it easy for the deck to work out here. So we'll probably see some cheesy strategies with Gimmick Puppets here, for the fact that a lot of them have graveyard synergy too, which is really, really, really cool. Hey, what do you look at that right here, boy? We got Zombiestein. Hey, what's up? So this is a rank 8 zombie Xyz monster. It's a 2 level 8 dark monsters. This card must be Xyz summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Once per turn during either player's turn, you can detach one Xyz material from this card and send one card from your hands to the graveyard. Then target one face-up card your opponent controls. Here's this card in defense position, and if you do that face-up card has its effects negated until the end of the turn. So this card, first of all, is just a big, gigantic beat stick. The fact that you need 2 level 8 dark monsters to summon into this guy is actually insane here. And again, if it didn't have that dark restriction here, this card would be busted. That's like 4,500 attack monster. And you get the bonus effect if you need to, where you can stop your opponent from having a certain effect going on here. And since this is going to be played most likely in a zombie deck, you should have resources to summon more monsters. So even though you're using Zombiestein to negate, you can summon other monsters with your zombies and just go attack your opponent for games. So that's cool too. Really decent card right here. It's going to work well in a certain vampire combos, because vampires have cool ways to special summon themselves. And you could probably cheese it out with Gimmick Puppets, as long as it doesn't restrict you to saying that you can only Xyz summon with a Gimmick Puppet monster. So you got a couple options here right here. It won't be like an easy card to get into, but some decks in this box are going to help you go into Zombiestein for sure. Next up, we're going to take a look at Dragulon right here. This card is already in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links right here, but I gotta say, if you're a Blue Eyes player and you have not pulled Dragulon, I'd strongly recommend it, because this card is a super good tech in Dragon decks for sure. So give this deck or card a shot, but we're not going to do a deep dive since this card is already in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. My man, Neo-Spacian Grand Mole, only being an SR card, which is kind of surprising, because the Neo-Spacian Grand Mole back in the day was a pretty busted card in TCG. But this card's a level 3 Earth Rock Effect monster. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles opponent's monster, you're going to turn both the opponent's monster and this card to the hand. So this card is a non-targetable card that bounces cards back. So comboing this with Elemental Heroes is going to be so busted, dude, because you're going to play your Grand Mole, your Grand Neos. You're going to special summon a Grand Neos with a Neos Fusion, and then you can summon your Neo-Spacian Grand Mole to bounce one of your opponent's cards and just bounce everything back to the field, bro. It's actually insane here. So you're probably going to see some cheese strategies and potentially Neos Fusion being a viable deck again in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links through the introduction of Grand Mole here. And I'm very curious to see how well Grand Mole will work in other decks besides Neos, because I can only see him working well in Neos, but any other decks in the game that are able to special summon like a bunch of boss monsters out on the field, Neo-Spacian Grand Mole is going to be a nice little tech for those decks, because you can special summon away and then use your normal summon on Grand Mole here. So we'll have to wait and see if Grand Mole is going to be pretty good, but I'm excited to see this little guy just in Duel Links and see what he's going to do. Next up, we're going to take a look at this card called Magical Hound. This is a level 1 tuner monster, where the card states if this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can target a face-up spell trap your opponent controls, return it to the hand, and if you do special summon this card, you only can use this effect of Magical Hound once per turn. So this card is kind of cool for the fact that you can special summon it from your hand and graveyard in order to get this tuner monster onto the field. But the problem is it is technically a situational card for the fact that your opponent needs to have a face-up spell trap card, and that's the only way that you can special summon this card for free. And again, a lot of decks in the game do have face-up spell trap cards. A lot of decks have been using field spell cards and whatnot and everything like that, but it's not a guarantee that you're always going to go against something like that. So due to that, I don't think this card is going to see a ton of play, but it's still a decent SR card that maybe could be good in a certain meta, depending on how well synchro summoning is going to work out in the future in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. So it's a decent card, I'd say. Next up, we're going to take a look at this card called Solar Wind Jammer. This is a level 5 light machine effect monster. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand, but its original attack and defense become halved. During each of your standby phases, increase the level of this card by 1. There only can be 1 Solar Wind Jammer on the field. So on the top of my head, this card is going to be kind of interesting here because it's going to be able to help you go into potentially some rank 5 Xyz summons, or going to potentially help you with synchro summoning here. Because again, you can special summon this card for free and then utilize this card to combo with some other like tuner monsters to go into a synchro summon. So that's kind of cool. The only caveat is that if your opponent's also playing this card, you can't special summon your own Solar Wind Jammer, which is interesting. So I'll have to wait and see how well this card is going to work. So I can't brainstorm any good effects on top of my head, but this card has the potential to be really good or kind of doo-doo in my opinion. Yo, I was just taking a drink of my water real quick, but hold up. Hyper Galaxy right here from just reading the card while I was taking a drink is actually busted. This is a quick play spell card that states tribute 1 monster with 2,000 or more attack except Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, then target 1 monster your opponent controls with 2,000 more attack, tribute it, and if you do, special summon 1 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Literally, what you get to do is that you get to pop one of your opponent's monsters, and as long as you have one of your Photon monsters with 2,000 more attack, you just use Hyper Galaxy to get a free Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. This card is actually going to be pretty good in Galaxy Eyes. Holy, I'm actually surprised this is going to be a thing, and we're probably going to see some more Galaxy Eyes players play, well, Galaxy Eyes. Next up, we're going to take a look at Vampire Awakening. You can special summon 1 vampire monster from your deck, but destroy it during the end phase of this turn. You only can activate 1 Vampire Awakening per turn. So this card's probably going to see a lot of play for vampires, considering the fact that you can special summon literally any one of your vampires for free. And even though it gets destroyed during the end phase of this turn, you're still going to have that vampire into the graveyard, and you're probably going to want to choose one of your beefy vampires or one of your vampires that has abilities that work in the graveyard. And Vampire's Awakening will be literally a free card to utilize to get that vampire into the graveyard. So it's basically a searcher, but you're gonna have to play it with, but this search card, you're gonna need to like play around your graveyard and whatnot. But zombies and vampires love doing that anyways, so this card's pretty good. And then last SR card we're gonna take a look at here is gonna be Xyz Tribalrivals. This card states face up Xyz monsters on the field with 2 or more Xyz materials cannot be destroyed by card effects during damage calculation. After damage calculation, if an Xyz monster control battles an opponent's monster, you can destroy that opponent's monster. That Xyz monster must have 2 or more Xyz materials attached to activate and resolve this effect. So this card's kind of cool here because this card's kind of a way to like make some certain, you know, Xyz monsters with 2 materials kind of be like a beefy monster. Because instead of utilizing that Xyz materials ability, you can use Tribalrivals instead to give it the ability to where you can pop your opponent's monsters for free. And you cannot make it destroyed by card effects, so you can have like somewhat of an invincible Xyz monster and have the ability to bounce your opponent's monsters, which is really cool too. So I feel like I could see some people playing some really cheesy decks with Xyz Tribalrivals, so we'll have to wait and see if this card's gonna be any good or not. I think it's gonna be kind of one of those just cheesy cards that not many people are gonna play, but it's still a decent card nonetheless. And yeah, that's gonna be kind of it for today's box review. We have some other cool cards here, like we got some like Inzektor Xyz monsters. We have Googly Eyes Drum Dragon. Let's go. We got, you know, Magma Neosi here too, which I just realized that's hype. We have Blaze Phoenix, the Burning Bombardment Bird. I don't know how well this card's going to be. I think it might get nerfed to having 150 damage for each card in the field, so we'll have to see about that. But this card was banned in the TCG for a little bit, so that's interesting. We got some other just interesting rares in here too. We got Lilybot, let's go. So this box is like not horrible. Like it's an interesting box for sure. And I'm looking forward to see what people come up with in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links with this new box coming out into the game. So yeah, let me know what you guys think on this brand new box in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. I'm kind of liking it so far. It seems to be pretty cool. I don't know if I'm going to really invest into this box because like while Gimmick Puppets are probably going to be really good, it's not a deck that's going to interest me, but I might try to go for the Grand Mole. I might try to get the Elemental Heroes for my little box opening and stuff like that because I think getting Grand Mole is going to be a lot of fun. So I think that's what I'm going to run for this time around, trying to like go into this box. Knowing my luck, Gimmick Puppets are going to be meta and crazy broken, but it is what it is. Yeah, I'll just have to deal with it using my boy Chaos Dragon Levian here. But still, thank you so much for watching today's Duel Links video. If you guys enjoyed it, smash the like button in the video down below. Sub to the channel if you guys are new. And that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links video. Adios, everybody.